Okay, so this is going to be about the Superman movie and also the reviewers on YouTube that covered the movie. And before I get into that, I just want to point out two things. First of all, there will be spoilers, and second of all, this isn't going to be an overly elaborate and detailed review because I am very busy on much more important things than this, and mainly because I don't really like this movie. I don't really care. So I'm going to get into this film. I'd like to say this first of all. The worst superhero movies I have seen that I can remember would be the Justice League movie that came out in 2017, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. I think I only watched it once or twice, I think. At most, at extreme most twice, but I think I only watched it once. And the Eternals was another one. The issue that I had with the Eternals though was that it just wasn't entertaining. It was like the most boring superhero movie ever. But I think that the Justice League movie overall was probably worse than the Eternals. Another movie that wasn't good, but rather than just being subpar, it was more frustrating to watch, was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So those are like the worst superhero movies I think that I've ever watched. This Superman movie, to be quite honest with you, I think that this is in that same tier. I don't know if it's worse than any of those, but I think it's in that same tier. I'm recording this right after I watch it because, as I said, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I do not have the time to sit down and write out a script days from now because I have to go and revisit the movie. So I'm talking about it right now, right after I've seen it. Not even 30 minutes ago was when I saw the last parts of it. Yeah, so this is in the same tier as the worst superhero movies I have ever seen. As I go deeper into this video, and I will touch more on this when we get to the actual folks that cover the movie, but I know that people will say that, hey, different strokes for different folks, and people will have different tastes. Some people are gonna love this movie, some people are gonna hate this movie, and yada 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 yada, blah 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 blah. Movies overall, I don't think that they are as subjective as a song. Like, you can play the best Celine Dion music ever. You have some people be like, hey, turn that shit off. I want to hear dancehall music. I'd rather hear Mavado or Vibes Cartel or Busy Signal. And then you would play like the greatest dancehall music ever. You would have some people be like, hey, put on that Evanescence or Fun or One Direction. I want to hear those. I want to hear that type of music instead. What you're playing now is complete crap. And you'd have some other people be like, hey, put on that Kenny Rogers, right? And you have some people be like, hey, turn that crap off. We don't need to hear that stuff around here. Play my opera music or whatever. So music is completely, almost 100% subjective. A lot of times. Movies aren't as subjective as music, in my opinion. So I don't want anyone that watch this video to be telling me that, hey, it's fine for these people to say these things that are just flat out incorrect and off about the new Superman movie, to praise it. And then I watch it and I'm like, bro, what the hell are you talking about? But as I said, I'll address this further as we get to that part of the video. Right now, real quickly, let's get into the movie briefly. This movie, the issue that this movie had, like the first half of the movie, maybe a little bit more, went way too fast. It just throw you scene after scene, action after action. It doesn't give you, and this is why I say this is the most frustrating thing that I've seen. The last time I was this frustrated watching a movie was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is probably the most frustrating film ever. If I do a follow-up to this video, I think that this Superman movie, I'm saying 4 out of 10, But right now, there's a good chance that weeks or months later, if I do come back to do a follow-up, there's a really good chance that this Superman movie ends up being my worst, my absolute worst, bottom of the barrel superhero movie ever. There's a chance. Like, they don't explain properly anything. They don't let any... So no, the people that were saying something similar to what I'm saying now, those are the ones that I'm going to dub as credible sources. Because this is 100% true. The Superman movie, before anybody that's watching this, the movie is just out, so there you have a lot of time to make your mind up if you want to watch it or not. You don't have to rush. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm being completely honest here. 100% honest. I grew up on the DC animated universe and Smallville. Smallville is a series I love. Smallville, in my opinion, is definitely somewhere in my top 10 best live action series ever. So, and I'm a DC guy overall. I became a Marvel fan mainly due to the MCU, but DC is something that I grew up with way before I even started watching anime and that type of stuff. It was DC animated universe, driven heavily by the Justice League series that we got, and of course Smallville, etc., etc. So I'm saying all of that to say that I'm someone that I like the character of Superman. Superman is one of my favorite heroes. This did not do Superman any justice. And I know that he gets beat up a lot in the movie, but that's not really the annoying part for me. It's just the fact that they don't explain anything. They're like, hey, here's this thing. Okay, this thing is over. Well, here's this other thing. Okay, this thing is over. Okay, here's another thing. That's the way the movie goes. I'm being serious here. I mean completely serious. It does not properly build up to anything or explain anything. It doesn't slow down to let anything sit in your mind until the scene where after Clark gets beat up again by... I don't even remember who at this point. He got beat up a lot. But after Clark got after he escaped from the pocket dimension that Lex had him in, which happened in the movie, of course. He went back to his parents, and I think this is the only scene that they had with him in the entire movie. And he was there lying lying in bed, recovering for a while, and then he had a conversation with his dad talking about something that got revealed in the movie, which was that his parents sent him there to conquer Earth. He was only hearing the first half of the message that his mom and dad, his biological parents, left for him, and it sounded like they were telling him something good, but Lex and company broke into the Fortress of Solitude, decoded the second half, and apparently they played it to the public afterwards, and apparently Mr. Terrific, he said that, hey, the people that... I don't know how he knew it that fast, but he said that the people that Lex sent the message to, they're credible. So even though it's Kryptonian, they were able to decode the message, and it said that Superman should conquer. And this actually led to another scene that just happened so quickly, because soon as that message gets played, the people that were literally seconds ago praising Superman, they started throwing things at him. They just believed the message instantly. And this is one of the many things that happen in the movie where I'm saying that they don't let anything sit. Like, it is the strangest thing that I've ever seen in terms of story structure for a superhero film. One of the things that I noticed a lot of people saying is that this is the most comic book film ever. And I get why they might say that, because when you pick up an issue of a comic book and you read it, it doesn't take too long a time to get into its action. But this feels a lot more abrupt than that. And thinking about this in a manga term, like, sidebar real quick, but some folks that read the One Piece manga felt like the anime is too slow, because they're saying that a lot of times the manga goes like from important scene to important scene. So they're saying that, hey, why does the anime do like filler scenes and all of that to build up when the manga was just straightforward? This Superman movie is a perfect example of why you do not do that shit when you are making things for the screen. This is a perfect example why. Because this is why I say I get that the people that said that this is like the most comic book film, the most comic booky film ever, this is why they're saying that. Because if you pick up a comic book and you just fling all of the pages on screen, scene by scene, panel by panel, you're gonna get this movie. But that is only like the mid-tier comics that you'll get this type of movie from, or worse. The best comic book issues, they're not gonna come across like this, even if you just did a one-to-one book-to-movie thing. But the things that they're saying though, like this is the greatest superhero movie ever. Are you guys nuts? Are you guys insane? Seriously, this is a genuine question. What the hell did you guys drink or smoke before making your reviews? John Campea, first and foremost. It took me a while to figure out what his deal was. At first I thought that I don't remember when, maybe a couple of years ago or so. I at first when I heard him, I was like, okay, he seems to sort of have some info and some intellect on what he's talking about. And then shortly after that, I'm like, he doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about. And then like months later, when I randomly watched something else that he was talking about, I'm like, okay, does this guy just like everything? So it took me a little while to kind of figure things out. And I don't watch every one of his videos. So this is just me going off of what I've gathered. What I think about John Campea. And yeah, so I'm starting off here. There are two columns here. There's a good reviewer column and a bad reviewer column. I'm going to start off with the bad reviewer column because unless you're someone that's, very rich or very lucky in life is going to give you the bad news stuff first before giving you the good news. So yeah. So I am giving you the bad first and then the good. So he is definitely in the bad side when it comes to credible sources. What I notice about him, if a movie or a series comes out and the masses initially are saying it's great or it's terrible, he is going to go with the masses. And then later on, when other people start saying, hey, this is not really good, he'll start walking some of the stuff that he said back if you praised it earlier. Or if he said it was terrible and then no, it's been great, he will start acting like he always thought that the thing was great. That's what makes him not a credible reviewer to follow. When you listen to him talk about this Superman movie, even before it released, you could tell that he was just dying to give it a whole lot of praise. He didn't sound objective at all. It always sounded like he was shilling for the movie, as they say. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say there about that guy. On the good side, I would say Tyrone Magnus, he gave the best, most balanced review out of them all. And you guys can check out his review on it. You can check out both. You can check out whoever else that's mentioned or whatever to decide for yourself. But those two are like the perfect example of a terrible source for movie reviews and a solid source for movie reviews. Even the folks that are saying that, hey, if you're a fan of James Gunn, you're going to like this movie. If you're not a fan, you're not going to like this movie. That is a complete lie. That is false. Because I was saying, if you watch the previous video on my channel, I was saying that I think, based on what I've read and seen, I think that this movie is going to be in the same tier of Guardians 3. And Guardians 3, in my opinion, was a solid movie. Not great, as some folks think. I think it was a solid movie. I think that it was going to be like a 7 out of 10. I gave Guardians 3 a 7 out of 10. And I think that this Superman movie, was going to be in that same range. So me giving it 4 out of 10 means that I did not expect it to be this bad. We don't really know anything about this Superman, and someone said, I don't remember who exactly said it, but someone said that this was just a long CW episode. This was a long Arrowverse episode. That's what they were saying. Some were also saying this is a long Superman the animated series. I would not put it on the level of Superman the animated series. Let's stop doing that. Let's stop trying to compare this movie to Superman the animated series or Smallville. We can just forget about that. Like, do not come to me at all with this Superman movie and in the same sentence mention Smallville or the animated series in the same breath. No. But if you say that this is like a random CW episode, a random Arrowverse episode, yes, I will agree if it's not the first 4 seasons of Arrow or the first 2 seasons of Flash. Those seasons are on a whole other tier than this movie. Take any part of those seasons that I mentioned and any part of this movie, they're gonna blow this movie completely out of the water. So I don't even want to hear just a random CW Arrowverse episode. Be specific and say that a random CW Arrowverse episode outside of the first 4 seasons of Arrow, the first 2 seasons of Flash, and I'd probably also say the first 3 seasons of Supergirl. I'll take all of that crap out of your vocabulary when you mention this being just a long CW episode. The movie ends with Supergirl showing up for KRYPTO. Oh, I didn't mention KRYPTO. KRYPTO... Some people said KRYPTO stole the show. Some people said he was annoying. I don't fully agree with either of those people because I don't think that he was relevant enough to steal the show. And I don't think that he was nagging enough to be seen as just completely annoying. I think that KRYPTO had the right amount of scenes in the movie. It's just that because we don't get any build-up, any bonding with any real backstory, we just don't get anything. We don't get any info on these characters. None of the characters, really. None of the characters. And some folks were saying like Lois and Clark are, the highlight of the film. They were kind of just there. What are these people watching? It's like you desperately wanted this movie to be great, so you're just grasping at anything that you don't think was completely terrible. You grasp at it and be like, "Oh, this is so great that this is the highlight of the movie." The movie doesn't really have any highlight. Some folks are also going crazy over Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific was just okay. He was just okay. That is it. He didn't really do anything overly awesome. What the hell?
What the hell?
God damn. One scene with the orbs and all of that was alright. That was alright. But if this is not your first superhero movie, if you've seen a lot of superhero stuff, you're not going to find that scene all that. Which was the case with me. I didn't find that scene to be worthy of people going crazy over Mr. Terrific. And HAWKGIRL. So growing up in the DCAU era, HAWKGIRL was my favorite female member of the Justice League. That means that I liked her more than Wonder Woman, basically, even throughout the Justice League Unlimited series. For DCAU, overall, right now, especially going back to read more Wonder Woman stuff, I like Wonder Woman more now as a character, but for DC Animated Universe, HAWKGIRL was my favorite female member and one of my favorite characters in the entire JL and JLU era. This HAWKGIRL... Okay. I don't even know how to put this. This HAWKGIRL was terrible. Let me just put it nicely. The live action adaptations of HAWKGIRL, they have all been mediocre based on what I've seen. And one of the things that I think is making them mediocre and not really cool is that the wings, the Thanagarian wings, right? I think that they should just let that be HAWKGIRL's natural biological wings, like the way that DCAU did it. I think that they should stick to that. That adds so much to her character overall, rather than just her being a regular wingless humanoid where the wings just come on as like a part of a device or whatever. So that plus HAWKGIRL just screams horribly for no reason. And I don't know if it's the actress or I don't know. Like, I didn't like anything that HAWKGIRL said or did in this movie. She also just drops a guy just because the guy said that she's like Superman. She wants to prove a point that she's not Superman. So she just drops the guy. She just kills him for no reason. Now, HAWKGIRL in DCAU did have that personality for a while, but for the most part, this wouldn't be something that HAWKGIRL just does like that. The HAWKGIRL that I know, right, the one that I love, if she's fighting someone in battle, right, the other members of the league might get to a point where they spare that person's life, because it's a fight, and she has like that warrior personality and mentality, almost like Wonder Woman. She would actually take someone's life in that sense. But she's not just gonna drop you, a completely helpless dude. She's not just gonna off him just because he said that, hey, you're like Superman. Maybe she'd knock him unconscious or just throw him somewhere, like just toss him in a jail cell or whatever, not gracefully. But HAWKGIRL isn't going to do that. So this is just... Anyway, guys, that is it. I don't really have much else to say. I think that I've talked about this enough. I don't even know how much of this is going to be kept. I don't know if what I just said is going to be kept in this video. But let me just end it here. And yeah, this was a really, really terrible movie. On the bright side, it does look like it will be some sort of financial success, which means that the DCU will continue. But I don't really care either way though, because by the time this DCU gets going, I'm going to be deep into my own series, into my own franchise, which is way more important than any other franchise or stuff out there to me personally. I think that my characters, my universe, what I'm coming with overall, the way I'm going to handle all of the things, based on my personal opinion, I think that is better than literally any franchise that you want to toss out there. Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Harry Potter, A Song of Ice and Fire, Hunger Games, whatever. I think that what I'm working on is better than those. And yeah, so by the time this DCU gets going, I'm not going to be interested at all. So I don't really care which direction they go either way. Oh, also, Supergirl showed up drunk. Millie is back. It's good to see Millie. I really liked her. She was in the first season of Host of the Dragon. That's where I first saw her. She is Supergirl now. Yeah, but she showed up drunk, got KRYPTO, and then left. Lex and Superman. We don't really know. We don't get the beginnings of that relationship. And this is one of the reasons why my personal philosophy is that you do not skip origin stories. Because even if you want to skip the early beginning stuff for the main hero, the reason why origins are so important is that they lay the foundation for not just the power development of the hero, but also early meetings with characters that will later become great adversaries or great allies. So because James Gunn skipped that whole thing, we don't get how Clark and Lex got to the point where they are right now, and we don't get how Clark and Lois fell in love either. We are just told. I don't know what the heck the deal with Jimmy is. Everything about this movie just felt rushed, right? If I'm being quite honest, everything about it felt rushed. And for you jackasses that think that this is the most comic booky film ever, and you think that automatically makes it great, you're kidding yourselves. Because for most comic books, you can't do one-to-one transformation. Like, you can't see 5 panels on a page, and then when you make your movie, you're literally just animating those 5 scenes back to back to back to back with nothing in between. Comics don't have the luxury of in betweens, right? Filling in the gaps to ease into another sequence. When you're a movie director and film person, you have that luxury, so you need to do that. The comics can only show you the key points. That is the issue with this Superman movie. It shows you the key points with nothing in between or nothing leading into the starting of the whole thing, really. But anyway, that's it.